Hi, everybody. Can you let me know if everybody knows how to use Zoom? Please let me know in the chat box or give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay, great. Okay, I'll just get started in a minute.
Hello.
So this is a fun, hi. So yeah, this is a fun class that you can do all ages and abilities. It's a really fun activity. You don't have to really go buy a lot of materials usually for this. As long as you have craft paint and some rocks, you can usually find some dotting tools around your house. So that's great. And I'll go over what I use for dotting tools, but I'm just always kind of collecting things that I see fit around the house. So yeah, I'm always kind of adding to the art tool collection. Okay. So it is 4 o'clock and hi everybody. So you're welcome to, since this is such a small gathering, I don't know if we're gonna have more people join us. You're welcome to unmute yourself if there's not a lot of background noise. I do ask if you keep yourself muted if there is a lot of background noise where you are. So just to introduce myself, my name is Kristen Pobatschnig, and I am a graduate, Colby Sawyer graduate of 2006. And you can see behind me, I'm an artist. And I do a lot of dot work in my art. So I do a lot of pointillism, and I utilize dots, not just in representational landscapes behind me, but I also do some abstract paintings as well. Hi, Dan. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Let's see here. And everybody, you are welcome to put where you're from in the chat box. That's always a good way to see where everybody's from. I always like to kind of get a survey of where people are coming from. So we have Colby Sawyer alum and students, I believe. So that's great. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and give you a quick introduction of, even if you don't have rocks, you can use, these are like little mini canvas magnets. I mean, you can practice mandalas on any surface. It doesn't have to be on rock. They look really on rocks, I will say. So yeah, I know people that once they start patterning, they just kind of apply it to everything in there, everything they can find, bricks or anything you can put in the garden or in plants or just around the house. So yeah, you don't even necessarily need rocks. Kind of fun too once you learn patterns or just techniques. I guess you don't even have to do mandalas. You can do other designs as well as you come up with. And but basically I use a variety of tools. I mean, you can buy these are called stylus tools, and they're all different sized dotting tools. I think they are mostly used in nail salons, but these are really handy, but you don't need them. And I don't even use them. I got them for this reason. And I find that the household tools actually work a little bit better. And it's nice because you don't have to go out and buy stuff. But I think the most widely used items that I use are, I would say, a toothpick. And I use one end as like a micro point, so I don't, alter the end of it. And then the other side, I maybe will cut off like maybe 1/4 of an inch. So you have 2 different size dotting tools in a toothpick. And I have a variety of nails as well. I use both the nail heads and also the points of the nail. Q-tips are really handy. And again, I usually kind of I use the, cottony end. I kind of tamp it down and then cover it in paint or glue so that the fuzzies don't come off. And that's kind of a good like 1/4 inch round dot that you can make from a Q-tip. And then you can also cut off the end of it and have smaller like medium dotting tool for that. I also use thumbtacks. Yeah, I think that's mostly also the end of very, very handy. I don't know if I said that or not. So you can use a pencil eraser, you can use a pencil tip, you can use really anything that make dots. So you guys will have to let me know if you found anything that you prefer using or that really works, does the trick that you like. And then I have craft paint. I have a variety of craft paint that I am using. And I am using, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors, but honestly, you can use this with like 2 colors. You don't have to have a lot of colors available. So just use what you have, and you can mix colors too if you need them. So let's see here. And I don't know, what do you guys want to, whoever's on video, you want to show me what kind of rock you have just so I can see what everybody's using? Okay, okay, so we have some different textures. Okay, that's great. And it's easier to do it with a smooth rock, but if you don't, it's totally fine. Like this one wasn't a smooth rock. It's just easier because you don't have the little divots, but honestly, it's you'll get the hang of it either way. And let's see here. So to get started, what I want to do is I want to lay down some black paint first, and then I'll go into explaining a little bit more, but I want to be able to have the paint dry so I can go ahead and explain the patterning. But what I usually do is I'm going to switch audio here so you guys can see my demo video. Okay, so you guys can hear me now on the demo video. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. Awesome. So what I like to start out with is first kind of lay the rock down and find, its natural placement, because you'll notice there's a right side and a wrong side usually. Like one side will be really wobbly. So you want to find the more stable side to set it on so it can rest it easily. And then, so as you're painting, it doesn't shake around a lot. And then what I usually do for this step is I just use my fingertip, and I don't know if everybody has black paint or a darker color paint I use, and I just make a big black circle that maybe goes around to about 1/4 or 1/2 inch to the edge. It's just easier. You can use a paintbrush if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, but it's just, I find it's actually easier to make a perfectly round dot this way. And that way this can dry as I'm explaining the next step. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to see the black really. And you can also, you could paint the whole thing black if you wanted to. This is an example of it. Painted the entire rock, I painted black, and I just like being able to see the different, the natural rock on the edges. So that's why I like the black for the contrast. And again, if you don't have black, it's fine. You can use, dark blue, dark purple, anything to help with the contrast. So I'm just going to go ahead and you guys are welcome to watch if you want to do this later, or you are, of course, welcome to follow along. And please feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat window, but just if you have anything urgently, definitely unmute yourself. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for now. Okay, Plymouth, Mass, Tucson. Lyme, New Hampshire, Tucson, Bridgeton, Maine. Oh my goodness, Kendra, I'm from Conway, New Hampshire, so we're neighbors. Right now I'm in Tahoe, so it's still light out here. I don't know if you can tell, but
I go to Conway
so yeah,
a lot. I
you
love
let this
Conway.
dry. I have a little color palette that, oh yes, me too. My sister just bought a house in North Conway, and I'm kind of getting, part of me wants to move back just to be near family. Oh, I'm from Brookline. Hi, Zach. Yeah, so I don't know. I have a hankering to go back to the Valley or New Hampshire in general. So we'll see.
Come back.
But,
We love it here.
Yeah. Is it cold? Is it getting cold in New England? I'm sure it is.
It's rainy today. It's getting, but yeah, it's raining.
Right.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I wanted to say, I'm kind of cooking dinner, but I wanted to watch because we have a woman at church who paints stones, and we were talking about doing this on a mission trip to Honduras, which we did. Well, we do go every year, but this year it was virtual. So I'm trying to get educated. So maybe we could do this if we ever get back to Honduras in person.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yes, it's such a fun, you don't have to participate. You can just watch. That's absolutely fine. And just kind of take mental notes. And I know this is being recorded, so maybe I can reach out to see if you can get a copy of this too afterwards.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, we painted
I'm an
black dot.
I'm an alumnus of Colby Junior College.
Wow.
But I got a BS degree. So you wonder how I did that.
Colby Junior College? I'm sorry, my internet is.
Colby Junior College. But they had a medical technology program. So I did 12 years at Yale New Haven Hospital.
Gotcha.
I mean,
very cool.
Months, and I got a BS degree from Colby. Try to explain that to people.
Oh, amazing.
That's awesome.
I know. That's so funny. I think did it become Colby Sawyer? Was it in the 90s? I think it was in the 90s. Something like that.
No, it was in the 80s. It was definitely Colby Sawyer before I got there. But I entered Colby Sawyer in September of '94. That was the first year of having males graduate from Colby Sawyer. So our ratio was off.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's what it was. I knew it was something in the 90s, something pivotal.
Yep.
Okay, Dan said he will share the video afterwards with everyone. 1970s was the name.
Oh,
change.
1970s was the name.
Thank you, Dan, for that clarification. Okay, so I'm gonna move along so I don't run out of time, because I know there is a class at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm not sure if it conflicts with this Zoom. But I'm gonna try to explain basically the basics of it, and then I'll go into some more detail. But yes, always feel free to ask questions at any time, and you're more than welcome to keep yourself unmuted. Okay, so I have my colors out on a palette here, and it's up to you if you have a paper plate. Is everybody kind of using craft paint like this, or what kind of paint are you guys using? Okay, acrylic. Okay, that's fine. Yep, craft paint I think works the easiest because it is it's fluid. So you'll notice when you use regular acrylic paint, it might get like peaky. So you can mix it with water, and if you want to, you don't have to, but you'll find using a thinner flow paint is going to be a little bit easier to work with the dotting. And you'll see examples when I get started here. So basically you just want to lay your colors out from light to dark. And you'll notice when we get going, I start the center out with white or whatever my lightest color is. And then as we move outward, it's gradient and it gets darker as it goes outward. And then we start repeating the color scheme again. But gives it nice contrast. So it doesn't matter though, like you don't have to have them analogous colors. You can have them sort of like this one was high purple, and so I just kind of started with the lightest, and even if you have white, can add to your color. So if you only had 2 colors, you can certainly mix with white just to get some that way. Work on any surface, have it kind of wrap around. And I think the easiest thing for you guys would be if I worked on this peanut butter jar, because you can see it. Okay, so what I usually do, and this is still kind of drying, so maybe, yeah, I'm gonna go for it, even though the paint's still a little wet. But
can I ask a quick question?
Oh, actually, you know what we'll do? Yes, of course.
Is the black for is the black just an example for you, or is that like supposed to be a base or something?
This is the base for how I always start the mandalas, because it gives it, like, they all have black underneath and you just can't see it, but
Okay.
It gives it a really nice contrast. So if it wasn't there, then it would a lot of the colors wouldn't pop so much.
Okay, so I should paint it black.
But I like to, you can paint the whole thing black. It just, I like to see the actual, it kind of just looks like, I like to know that it's a natural rock. I don't know, it's up to you. It's totally personal preference, but like this one was the example of it totally black, and it's just a lot more contrast. So whichever you would like to do. But I think what we should do first though is whatever tools you have, let's kind of lay them out, and with your paint, if you've got your paint set up, just so you can see what does what. So I'm gonna take like that's my thumbtack, and gonna take my toothpick one side, and then the side I didn't cut. So you can see the different sizes. So that way you know what your tools are gonna do as far as, so you can get the right size, because sometimes you think one is bigger than the other, but once you get painting with it, you'll realize, oh, it's actually deceiving. So do a little legend for yourself to see, yeah, the different sizes. And let's see. And then I also have a paper towel handy, just to wipe off the tools after you use them, so they don't mix in with the colors or they don't get all gummed up.
Gummed up is a technical term, right?
And then once you kind of have your legend, you're going to start with your lightest color, and make sure you shake your paint. If you haven't put your paints on your palette yet, make sure you shake them really good, because sometimes the craft paints get really separated. But I'm going to start with my white, and I'm going to use my largest tool, which for me is the thumbtack. And I guess that's a little bigger than maybe a quarter. It's between a quarter and a half inch, something like that. So I'm going to dip it in the white paint, and then I'm going to try to eyeball it right in the center, like so. And wipe this off. And then I'm going to start with the smallest the smallest size dotting tool I have, which is the toothpick. And what we do, and I think what it's easier if I just show this with a marker, because I think it's easier to see. Where's my camera? Here we go. All right, so if this was the circle that you just laid down on the rock, what you want to do is you're going to do north, south, east, west. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll put this on I'm going to switch closer. So this is the dot you just put on. So you do north, south, east, west, and I probably should have done those a little, they should have been a little bit closer to the big circle, but it's easier to see this way, I think. And then from there, you want to figure out, okay, can I fit 2 dots or can I fit 3 dots in between each segment here? And if it's 3 dots, which I think I'm pretty comfortable, I can put 3. I'm going to put 1 right in the middle of each one. And then you're going to go ahead and put another one in between each of those. And the reason we do it this way is so you don't end up with an odd spacing, like so. So that's kind of how it's going to be with the paint, with the toothpick. And let me get started here to show you guys what I mean. So, and again, I'm going to use my white, and then from there, I think I'm going to go with yellow. But this first round of dots, I'm going to use white. And if for some reason you guys can't see what I'm doing, or if my hand's in the way, please let me know, because sometimes it's hard for me to tell. And you might need to reapply paint every time. For this first round, I kind of like to the only thing is, if you ever do this in the mornings, make sure you don't have coffee right before, because your hands, or my hands, it's really hard to do this first layer, this first round of dots with any kind of shaky hands, because I think this is probably the hardest part right here. So if you make a mistake, oops, let me just see here. I'm still not quite done yet. Let me just finish this first round and then I'll go into that. So that way they're nice and evenly spaced, kind of close together, but not touching if possible. Okay. Okay. So if you make a mistake, depends on the mistake. Personally, what I like to do is I like to just keep going. I let everything dry, and then maybe I'll paint over it black and then reapply paint. You can also try, if you have a paintbrush, you can, if you dip it in some water and you can kind of spray some of the paint. Like there's a dot right here that's kind of driving me nuts because it's a little close to the edge. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, I find that if it's not a really big smudge, I can keep going, and then at the end, after I do all the embellishments, you don't even notice the mistake. So I like to just keep going, but it's completely up to you. You are welcome to scrub away or reapply some black paint after it's dried. But yeah, so we've got our first round of dots on. And then from here, technically I would use a little bit larger of a tool, and But I honestly think, let me see. I use the toothpick, and I'm actually going to use the other side of the toothpick. It's a very slight difference. They're both pretty small. If you don't have anything that's really close in size to the smallest that you just put down, you can just use what you just used before and maybe wiggle it around a little bit so it's a little bit bigger. And basically what we're going to be doing, this next row, oops, you're gonna wanna, you don't wanna put them right next to each other, but you wanna put the next row of dots right in between that first row. So each dot is kind of going right in between the white dots that we just put down. And each row kind of gets a little bit bigger as it goes outward. And for this, I just kind of go all the way around in the circle. I don't do the compass. I only do the north, south, east, west. I only do that in the very first round of dots, just for the spacing. But otherwise, we're good to just kind of, as long as you're going, try to go right in between. And again, close, but not touching if possible. Oops. And you'll find once you get these really small ones out of the way, it becomes very relaxing. It's just these first two rows. The first row, I think, is the hardest. And then kind of eases up on you after that. It's a little more forgiving. Okay. And don't forget to wipe off your tools. And then I'm just going to keep going with the next size up and a little bit darker of a color. So I have this nice pink color I'm going to use, and then I'm going to use the skinny end of the Q-tip. I think that's right, yeah. Actually, do I want the nail? I actually think I'm going to use a nail. Never mind. Yep. Nail head. How's everybody doing? Give me a thumbs up if you'd like, or doing okay? Okay. Great. So this just takes practice. Sometimes you'll notice they get a little tight in some areas, so you can maybe not put as much pressure down to make them so they don't turn into, they don't run into each other. Or you can put more pressure down to make them a little bit bigger if you have more space to fill. Don't forget to breathe. Sometimes that's a problem with me. Okay. Let's see.
I see what you mean about the acrylic paint in the tube. It doesn't want to make a nice.
It's a little, yes, the acrylic in a tube is a little trickier to work with. Have you tried mixing it with any water just to try to thin it down a little bit?
I'm doing that. Unfortunately, I have white, red, and yellow in the, in the craft.
In the craft paint, okay.
But I was trying to get another color in there, and I can see the difference.
Bonnie, I see all the amazing artwork behind you. Is that your artwork?
It is. I'm a potter, so they look like leather, but it's really clay.
Oh my goodness, beautiful.
Thank you.
Any other artists or art majors in the group?
Yeah, I'm actually an artist, kind of semi-professional right now. Times are hard for art people. I was planning on doing a bunch of shows this year, and that all got wiped away. I'll confess I'm not actually working on this. I didn't know if there would be like a prompt or anything, but I'm doing some Halloween-inspired stuff for my Instagram, so I'm just drawing that right now.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you can just follow along if you like, or yeah, just even just kind of watching the patterning is too. You can apply it in other product or processes and techniques as well.
This is really interesting.
Cool. Yeah, it's been a tough year for artists, but thank goodness. That's all I can.
Yeah. You're here. It's really interesting to see this use of craft paint because I work
Yes.
a lot, and I am always kind of looking for new aspects of craft paint. My obsession over the last year has been texture that you can create with craft paint that you just can't get with like traditional acrylics. But this is such an interesting, it's exactly the thing that craft paint wants to do.
Oh, I swear, this was made for craft paint. I swear was made for this because it's fun too. You can get these raised effects as well because you're just leaving little blobs of paint. It kind of gives a nice 3D quality. So you can touch them and it's really, I don't know, it's just fun. Yeah. So it's fun to use craft paint for this. Yeah. Any other artists or former art majors? It's just fun to do, and honestly, this is a project that anybody of any, ability, background, whether they're artists or not, can enjoy. It just takes a little bit of patience. I know it's the first time is a little tricky, but once you get it down, usually when people take this class, they often will try, after class they'll try again and they'll get really inspired, and it's fun seeing the progress people make and how creative they get with the mandalas, because you can work on any material or any surface, and it's just a really cool thing to be able to add.
This is Deb. I was an art major. I had my career in interior design and have now started my art career. So I'm 4 years in, and this is up in my studio.
Oh, I love it. What medium are you using?
I use water-soluble oils. I also use acrylics, but now I started doing a lot of plein air, and this one that you're looking at, I think, which is like a backyard. No, we're trying to get you to. This is a view from my window, which was in March down here in Washington. So we start getting earlier trees blooming. And then more recently, I've started taking up when I was in school, everything was very expressionist. And so now I've gone back to work on more classic pieces, sort of a more realistic style. And I'll show you this one. Let's see if I can get to this one. This is what I'm working on right now. So there's the painting.
Oh, beautiful.
And there's the photograph.
Oh, this is lovely. Thank you for sharing your work in your studio. This is great. And also, I was going to tell you guys, if any of you have artist websites, if you have a website, an artist website, feel free to put in the comments. I'm sure we'd all love to check out your work.
I do.
Great.
I even mentioned Colby.
Oh, no kidding. That's great.
I do.
Yeah, I do. I think I have
you're
Colby
in my
Sawyer.
bio. Again, Colby Sawyer.
Yep. Great. Has everybody got to, let's see, 1, 2, 3 colors or so? Where are we all at? You can feel free to show me the progress if anybody is in the middle of working. Okay, great. So we're kind of 3 layers in, 4 layers in. Okay, perfect. So this is the time when I would add what I call like lace work, and it is this scalloped edges here with the dots, and I just take my smallest tool, which will be my toothpick, and again I'm going to go ahead and use either white or very light color. I'm just kind of afraid on mine because I used a lot of red on the edge and I don't want it to look too Valentine's Day, but I'm going to try it anyway with the white. I thought it was going to be more of a sunset, and it's definitely starting to look Valentine's Day. So what you do for the lace is once you, so I have some paint applied to the toothpick. Oh, Dan left. Bye, Dan. Thank you. The toothpick being my smallest tool, and then I put a dot right at either, right at the very top of it, or depending on how you're at it. And so then it kind of tapers from there, and you just kind of go along the edge. And I like to try to reapply and then also keep going out again, because it kind of gets, I like the graduation of size that you get once you start with the middle or at the very top, I guess. So it kind of gets a little bit smaller as we go down. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Great, great. And I think this is kind of challenging, but again, once you get the hang of it, it's like really just getting the hang of like making the different shapes or making the different size dots. I just made a little mess up there, but I'm gonna leave it. Just getting the hang of that is really all it takes. So it just takes a little bit of practice. But once you get this part down, I think it's usually, I think it's kind of relaxing, and it's actually, I think it makes it look really interesting and ornate. And you'll notice some of them, there's not as much space in between, unless they were perfectly spaced, which mine are not. So you just kind of work with what you can to try to get them like they kind of look evenly spaced. And just do the best you can on this. Okay.
I can see where you can kind of zone out when
Yeah,
you're doing it.
it's very meditative, I think. Except for when you make a mistake. And
not
it's
so
like,
much.
what? Where was I? But it's fun because they all, like, I've done so many of these and they always look different. Even if I use the same colors, they all kind of have their own personal characteristics. Oops.
So the black limits the size of the concentrated design, because then you had some others that you just went off on the natural stone. But depending
Exactly.
on how big you want this is how big the black has to be to start with.
Well, I mean, I kind of, just to show you some other examples, these two, I kind of used the whole, or I painted on the entire, most of the surface of the rock, but yeah, I guess it depends how much concentrated, if you want it to taper off, like this one kind of, you know, tapers off on the edges, or if you want the entire thing to be concentrated mandala, you could just paint the whole thing black and you'd maybe get a different different look and feel. And then there was this one that I did. I think, I don't know if everybody was here when I showed you. You can just get really creative with your dotting tools and the backgrounds you use. And I kind of like doing this for, you know, just practice for my paintings too, because I use a lot of dot work in my paintings. So it's kind of a fun little experiment there. Let me see. But yeah, you could, it's personal preference. If you would like to wrap the entire rock or just kind of have it taper off, it's completely up to you. And I will say too, you can finish them with, oops, I use, so this is a Liquitex matte medium, some of you are probably familiar with. You can also use a gloss medium. It just protects it, especially if you're going to leave them outside, like in your gardens. But the gloss medium, I don't have right in front of me, but it looks just like this. It just says gloss medium. And it kind of gives a nice little shine to the rock. But if you want the more natural look, maybe stick with the matte. That's only if you're going to be putting them outside or in a planter or something like that. I mean, it's good to protect them in either way, but if you are keeping them indoors on a shelf, it's not as essential. Oops.
If you really wanted to fix where those two touch, what would you do?
So that's a good question. I am going to just let it, well, if you really wanted to fix it, I either let it dry and then put black paint over it and try again, or you can take a paintbrush and kind of wipe away. I need to get some water. Hang on just a second. We'll try here. You can get a little tiny paintbrush and kind of scrub away. It's almost harder. I almost think that's why I like to just let them dry, because I think that I think it's trickier doing it this way because it's never a clean wipe off. Like you
Right.
think.
Right. Well, I'm just asking. I wasn't trying to make you
Yep.
really do it.
Nope. I always want to show people this at some point. It's like as much as I don't want to. It's like just so they can see it's just not as easy this way, but at least it's going to speed up the drying time because there's not a big blob of paint there. So, and I actually can probably go over it like now because I've got most of the paint off. So then, yeah, so having a little brush helps in this instance. There. So then you could go ahead and wait till that dries and then go back in with your dotting tool and reapply.
Okay. I always
As
think
much
it's
as I
important
don't
to know-
like when mistakes happen, it's good to show for examples.
Yeah, it's always important to know how to fix it.
Yes, exactly. So let me see. I think this is pretty much there. Oops. Okay, so, and you can choose to do another layer outside with a different color of lace. Like I've done, you can see this one, I used 2 different layers. You can get really intricate with the lace work there, but I'm just gonna keep it at 1 just for the demo. And then I'm gonna keep going. Let's see. And it's kind of fun at this point. You can really do whatever calls to you. So I'm going to go ahead and try using, I think I'm going to make a new color. I've got purple left, but the purple's kind of dark. So I think I'm going to mix purple with some red and then some white. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in between here. But again, if you guys feel called to do something else, you are welcome to it. And I will show you some other examples too. But this is the basic mandala kind of pattern, and you can go off in different directions from here. But I will show you some other, before I hang up, I will show you some other methods. And I also like to use gold. I feel like no matter what color you have in gold paint, I think I use it on pretty much every single one at the end. Just adds a little bit more ornate intricacy. Okay. And now let's see. And so once you're done with your pattern, you can apply top dots. So you can go in, you'll see here, just a little example. So each one, and each one has a little bit of, I took a smaller tool and I laid down a different color within each dot. I don't know if you can tell that. Not on every single one, but especially the darker ones that needed to pop a little bit more, you can add a little bit brighter of a color over that. Gives it some more intricacy. So that's kind of fun. And oops, little blob. So now, when you get on the rock, it's a little trickier to correct mistakes because you can't just paint it over black. But this one is just really close to the other one. I just wanted to kind of move it. But so when you do have a mistake on the plain rock, just try to wipe it away as quickly as possible with either a wet paintbrush or a paper towel, something like that, because it'll dry really fast. You'll notice with rocks it just kind of absorbs the paint really quickly. So you kind of have to work fast if you try to wipe something up. So while this is all drying, I'm gonna grab something to show you guys. So another technique I'm going to just quickly show you is it's a little bit different of a pattern.
Oh, wow.
So instead of starting with the north, south, east, west, like we did in the very, very beginning, I did, let me see, I did north, south, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. So it was like I did 6 dots instead of the 8, because we did north, south, east, west, and then in between those. So basically this is kind of how you would start it. And by starting with 6 dots, you can plan for the 6 petals. And then I kind of start way up here. I eyeball, kind of draw an imaginary line, and then take a toothpick and then kind of taper off, and it gradually gets smaller. But that was a fun, it's a little bit more complicated of a pattern, but it's fun to try if you feel like trying something a little bit different. And then I can also have fun with, this was one of the first ones I did, was you can outline anything really and kind of get creative with different patterns. And I just, I drew an outline of a kitty with the white, and then I just kind of went in, and instead of starting in the very middle of the mandala like we did here, I kind of started on the side. And you just, same practice of going in between. Yeah, so that's kind of fun too, having that. So many possibilities with this. Let's see. I think I'm gonna try.
Maybe Zach can apply this to Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween ink drawings. Ooh, I can't wait to see those. Did you put your Instagram up? You did. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I did. I also have been doing, someone said plein air earlier. I think that was Deb. I've also done a bit of plein air. I've just been very bad about getting it online where people can see.
I love Squarespace is really easy to use if you're looking to build a website. I would recommend it. I'm not like a WordPress expert, but I know a lot of people that use WordPress for various reasons.
I'm in process of building mine right now, and it is a WordPress site.
It is.
And I regret that choice, like on alternating weeks. But I didn't like the Squarespace interface any better, so I've been just muddling through. It just takes a lot of time to kind of set everything up the way you want it.
Yes. It's tricky. Yeah, it's a love-hate. I sometimes think about switching to WordPress because I've been using Squarespace for probably about 10 years. And WordPress is one of those things I'm like, I know I have to learn it eventually. I mean, it's just, there's a lot to it, and it's really cool how much you can customize and the different features that you can incorporate for pretty inexpensively if you know how to use it. So
yeah, it hasn't been overly expensive for me, and I only I only recently have really gotten the wherewithal to put that together. I respect the Squarespace website a lot. The world where I went with that, it would probably be done by now.
I know it's always a trade-off. It's like, yeah, there's so much out there to learn, consider, but at least now it's, oh, I messed up. That's all right. I started on the wrong. Oh well, I'm just gonna make it work. Just gonna fit one in here anyway. At least nowadays it's nice with social, or at least with Instagram and Facebook. So even if you don't have a website, it's not, you know, the end of the world. It's, yeah, it's nice interacting with other artists too. That's what I love about Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very built for it. I've been trying, I have a Twitter as well that I repost everything to. Twitter is hard to use as an artist.
Yeah, I leave Twitter on the back burner personally, but I know a lot of artists that use it, so so it's tricky, but so many platforms out there. If you're selling work, I love using, if you have stuff for sale, Saatchi is great. Saatchi and Art Finder is another one I just started using that's really good for selling work. Yeah, it's nice to see all these different venues possible, I guess, that never used to be. Like even 10 years ago, it was so different. So much has changed. It's my gold.
Yeah, I will say if you ever do decide to make a second website, I think WordPress has only gotten more and more usable. Like I sort of understood at a point where it was about equivalent for me.
I wanted to take I might go ahead and take like a workshop, like a WordPress workshop, just so I can really, because I felt like I was totally shooting in the dark when I was trying to use it at first. It was,
what I've been doing.
yeah. Oh, but hopefully it has gotten a little easier. Deb, what do you use for your website?
I use FASO, and I think they have that set up pretty much for us older people who aren't as literate with the systems as you guys are. So in terms of easy to use, it really is. You can do a trial with it, like a free month, just to take a look at it. But for me, it's great. It's easy to enter contests with, and easy to edit and upload. I mean, in terms of, I wouldn't begin to think about creating my own website. So for me, and it's national. And as
very user friendly, you're saying?
Yes, very user friendly. It's, I think, about $300 a year, so it's not cheap. But as I entered my art career, I made the decision that would be my investment. That, you know, there's no use. I felt I needed the site, even though I was just starting. I would grow into it, and so it works for me.
I think that's a very wise decision the being able to do the upfront cost has probably saved you a lot more headaches than you're even than you even
Yeah.
know.
Well, when you start your fourth career at 66, there's not that much runway left. So you sort of make your decisions and go with it. I mean, I decided right off the bat that, I would do plein air and I would do certain things that that I would not have the luxury of being able to teach, because that would just take up too much time. So you just approach it differently at our age.
Yeah, I like that approach. It's like you got to streamline what's most important.
Exactly. I mean, I felt like I made my money in my true working years, where I was, you're working 60, 80-hour weeks and getting it done. And so now I have the privilege of doing only what I want to do.
I love it.
Yeah, that's the way to go about it.
So do I.
Yeah. We paid our dues.
I paid my dues. Towards the end of my career, I worked what I called stupid hours.
Yep.
That was way too many.
Yep.
Yep. And I gave up a lot in my working years, because my schedule was not my own. And so yeah, it's payback time.
Excellent.
I know, it's like you feel like sometimes. I remember when I graduated Colby Sawyer, I was working for a company, and yeah, it's like you realize, you're like, wait a minute, all of my hours are going for somebody else's dream. It's like you want to try to get your dream back as quickly as possible, and it takes a long time. It is hard. It's definitely a challenge for artists.
Yeah.
But kudos to all of you.
Yeah.
Well,
I was fortunate. I was in a very creative career. So, and I painted all along. I mean, I never stopped painting, but my time painting was limited.
well, I'm more of a needlepoint person. So I'm going to show you what I'm working on. I did not design it. They're 24 kneelers for our church.
Oh my gosh.
And this
Talk
is
about hours.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yes, this is an extra long one, because there's a curved, you'll see the main square is the size of most of them, but this one, there's a curve on the end at the end of the row. So.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
So it's the cross and the dogwood are for Virginia.
Are you in Virginia?
Yes.
Oh, so am I.
And then the jars of Cana. And if you look at them, one of them is empty and the others are full. And then at the very end is the cardinal, which is the state bird of.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Very nice.
What a talent.
Very nice work.
And so, the front is plain, and then each end says who donated it, who stitched it,
Wow.
the year, and then they all have a saying, which is what I'm working on here at the top.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Where are you in Virginia?
I'm in Alexandria.
Oh, my sister's in Alexandria and I'm out in Herndon.
Oh yeah, and this is for historic Christ Church.
Ah.
So we've got half of them done, and we submitted, I think it was 8 or 9 or 10 of them, to the Woodlawn Needlework Show, which is
Yeah.
countrywide, and it's well known.
Yeah.
And it's a juried show, and we all got honorable mention. Yeah, for all of them. And then we're doing ornaments to sell in the gift shop, and one of the girls got second prize.
Very nice.
And she had never learned to needlepoint until she and her mother each did a needler. Neither one of them knew anything about needlepoint. And they did the most exquisite needlework.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been spending hours.
I bet.
That's amazing. Needlepoint is one of those media that I can't do, and I respect so much, especially doing text in needlepoint is
Yep.
a lot. Wow, good
Well,
for you.
and this is all basket weave, so that the canvas has as much yarn on the front as the back, because we want these to last 150 years.
I'm sure they
And
will.
So, and it's done in basket weave. Also, it doesn't distort the canvas as much.
Wow.
But I do a lot of counted cross stitch as well. But I'm not the artist. I don't design them. I execute them.
That must take so much patience, though. I can't even imagine. And time, I can't even guess how long that would take. Wow, that's really incredible work.
But
How many hours a week?
Well, I usually, I do stuff, and then if someone calls me, well, I'll tell you where I got a lot of it done, because when we first shut down, people called and you were on the phone for hours. I learned to put the phone on speaker.
Ah.
And I could needlepoint. So, and I do it every evening. I don't do it like a machine. I don't sit for hours and hours and hours, but in the evening is what I call my relaxation time. And, I used to read the newspaper and half watch television. Now I do needlepoint and half watch television.
I love it.
There's a lot to be said for the art stuff you can do while sort of passively absorbing something else.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
Now, Bonnie, you held yours up, so let's see it. We got the backside view. That wasn't fair. You held up your stone, but we got the backside.
You did?
Yes, we'd like to see the front side.
Well, let's see.
oh, beautiful.
Oh, wow. Really nice job. My goodness.
Well, that's those two. Hold on. I've been, let's see.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. You've been busy.
And one more. Let's see, one more. Ta-da.
Oh my goodness.
It's
So
been
I
You've
gotta
been doing
ask
all
you
of those
guys.
while we were sitting here?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know.
Well, you
right?
guys
That's wild.
chatting. I'm meditating and listening to your conversations. It's wonderful.
I love it. I got to ask you guys, what did you find your favorite tools were?
Oh, the toothpick was great. The toothpick, the thumbtack, the wooden ones worked the best. Even this, let's see, this
Yep,
wooden
little
skewer.
Yep.
Yeah, with a flat end. And then let's see, can you see the nail?
Yes.
Yep,
And
yes,
using
they
the
call it
nail
quill.
head. But the toothpick, yeah, toothpick, thumbtack, and wooden skewer.
Kendra, what did you think? What was your favorite?
I use Q-tips and pencil. I like the pencil
Yep.
way better.
The pencil, like the tip of the pencil?
Yeah.
Yeah, using it. I had some people that wanted to use a regular paintbrush, and that is really tricky because you don't really make dots. It's like
That's
different
how I
shapes that you
started
get.
with a with a paintbrush, and it didn't come out very good in the middle. So this is my
I think it's
practice.
harder. Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect at all. So this is my practice rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew
and
that was going to happen.
Take some
So.
getting used to some familiarity with the tools. Yep.
Well, and when you did this last,
And in
row,
Barbie, how
you did a row of
Oh,
the
yeah.
gold on the outside. And
I have,
initially I thought you were going to just keep it as a half circle. And I
I
thought,
know, I was thinking I was too. And then I thought, and this is what it kind of looks like if you wanted to keep it as a half circle. So there are like these little, I kind of did that on the center of those ones. There are just so many variations you could do. It's endless, which is just so fun because they're all going to look different. Even if everybody's using the same colors, everyone's using different tools, different rocks, different, paint. So it's fun.
well, what's that? Is that a piece of cardboard or is that?
So this is what I had these little canvas magnets. And I just decided to try, and I painted all of the whole thing black. And so that's what that would look like. It's very, I guess you could say compact, because I didn't leave any of the white on the edges.
Did you put
it's kind of,
excuse me, did you put a coating over the top of that one?
No, I did not, but it's very, you can kind of see, I think the paint I was using was kind of a little bit of a maybe glossy or satin paint.
Yeah.
But again, this was a form, it was craft paint. I just can't remember which kind. And this was another one similar. But yeah, you can see the top dots are fun. They really make it intricate. So
you have a very nice even hand.
Sometimes.
It looks great.
Thanks. And in Barbie, I hope you guys are doing okay. I don't think I've heard from you guys, but feel free to jump in and let us know how you're doing.
Well, thank you for doing this class. This has been fun.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, this was fun.
I'm so happy. I hope you all found it something new and something different to do. So
absolutely.
All right.
Well, you're giving me wonderful ideas because, thinking about where we can get enough smooth rocks, and how much that would weigh for 65 girls?
Everybody get their own.
Well, except that they live in a compound and that's not possible. So we would probably have to.
Oh, yeah. So maybe something like you could use little pieces of cardboard. I mean, anything really, as long as trying to think of even you can buy little mini canvases.
Yeah.
All kinds
or
of.
even magnets might have application to, making a fridge magnet or making something to go on a piece of metal.
Right.
How about tile? Wouldn't it work on tile?
Ooh, tile
That'd be
might-
good.
If you use the right paint, I think so.
Yeah.
They make paints that are especially for doing that kind of work, so you're definitely going to want to invest in those. Get something that's nice and weatherproof. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of enamel, maybe I'm thinking that would work. I don't know.
Oh, there's those glass paints.
Glass. Yep.
That might work.
Goodness, that would be fun.
We've got some of that kicking around. I haven't used it yet.
Put it on your beer mug.
You couldn't resist, Zach, you couldn't resist buying it because it looked neat, right?
I have not bought paint in several years. I am in the extremely fortunate position of having inherited 2 retired artists' wealth of stuff.
Wow.
Yes. I have a lot of my own stuff, but then I came into a whole bunch of material from them. So I have not bought paint in several years now. But you're right, that would happen to me.
Well, because I would tell you as a needlepoint person, you look at interesting yarns and threads and canvases, and you have to be careful to restrict yourself.
Yes, canvases I have a problem with. I have too many of those lying around. I'm actually starting to run low again, so I'll have to buy some soon.
I know. It's always a give and take. I do the same thing with canvas. I'm like, oh, I'm not buying any more for because I like to paint over a lot of work too. That's the blessing and a curse. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but sometimes things need to be painted over. So it's like you have never ending supply, but then when you run low,
I do
you
something.
can't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you everybody so much. It was so nice getting to know you all, and hopefully we can stay in touch here. I'm going to grab everybody's website information. I think I can snag that. I'll put mine in here too.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's see. www.phnixk.art is my website. But yeah, I'm going to try to grab everybody's before I.
Wait a minute. I have to get
Won't
something
let me.
right.
Let me see. I'm gonna grab everybody's. So I have Zach's.
Well, this is what I was
Deb.
working on the whole time I was here.
Oh,
Let me see.
and this is for Halloween?
wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a party of orcs.
Oh, no. And what?
Oh, from Lord of the Rings?
Yes, but I'm doing them up in like punk style, so they're all gonna have like punk rock outfits.
Oh, very cool.
One of them might be a werewolf. I haven't decided yet.
Are you paint? What's the medium?
These are all ink. When I paint, I actually have a painting here. It's underneath all of my stuff because I've been waiting on it. I paint in watercolors and acrylics. I haven't done watercolors in a minute because the aforementioned materials that I inherited, I had to like work through those and test a lot of those, and it kind of just informed my painting for a better part of 2 to 3 years. But I'm trying to get back into my
Ooh.
watercolor works.
Oh, it's
Wow.
beautiful. Nice washes.
80% sure this is from my last year of college, actually, at Colby Sawyer. This is a couple years old now, but I just dug it out and
Wonderful.
realized it had no information on the back of it. I put my all of my piece information on the back of it so that when I'm submitting to shows, I have it at hand. And I was like, I can't remember the title of this piece. And I turn it around and I can't remember is because I never wrote anything down on it.
Shame on you.
I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know when I finished it. It's a mystery.
Uh-oh. Is it yours?
It is mine. I do remember that.
Quick, sign it now.
Oh, it's not even signed. How are things going to make it in the catalog like this?
With difficulty.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh my. Well, this was, I must say, this was a fun thing for an alumni activity and something that would probably never happen if it was homecoming in person.
Oh,
That's
I
true.
know. I was
Yeah, this
thinking
was fun.
I was thinking it would be fun. I have all these other class ideas for in person, but it is nice to be able to reach a lot more people virtually. So it's been.
And we can do
fun
show and
connecting with
tell.
people.
Yes.
Because you're at
Yes.
home and you can show all your things.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, you guys all done beautiful work.
Nice job, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, feel free to reach out to me if you guys have any questions along your way. I know Jane, Zach, if you guys get started and have any questions, feel free to reach out, and the rest of you as well. But yeah, thank you again for being here. And I look forward to checking out the websites, and feel free to stay in touch.
And did you
Thank
say this
you.
was being recorded?
This is being recorded, and I believe Dan Parrish is going to send the links to everybody after.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you for doing this. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
This was
my pleasure.
This was fun.
Thank you guys for being
Thank
here.
you. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Have a good night. Have a great weekend.
Oops.